All right, there we go. Hello, my name is Joe Goebel, e.g., also known as Jo-EType-S, Jo-E-Type-S on YouTube here, as well as Jo-E-Oto, O-T-O Type S on SoundCloud. This is for my new Patreon that I'm starting. Yeah. I got kind of like some script writing tendencies I want to take advantage of and share that with the world, and just other creations, my lyrical stuff, and yeah, music if I ever get around to fixing how I'm going to export my music effectively, which is obviously really important. So this is just a short stream that I'm doing as an intro for my Patreon. And it's going to go out to everybody, and it's going to be just open. It's not like you're going to have to pay anything for probably most of my videos. I don't think I'm going to make most of those open to people, unless something else comes up and I decide to make any of them private or paid for. So yeah, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, Square Enix fan, since back when I was like hanging out with my friends Cody and Aaron when I was like 8 or 9 years old, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and they had PlayStation early on and Final Fantasy 7, and just hang out playing that, playing Super Nintendo and some of the classics on there too. I don't really remember playing Final Fantasy 6 with them, but they did have a copy of Final Fantasy, what was Final Fantasy 3 back then. And I guess they rented that and played through part of it, if not all of it. Yeah, just remembrances of old friends. Oh, goody. Sorry, I just kind of random. But yeah, just a guy in his mid-30s trying to figure out what to do with his life. He's going to go to college, or maybe to make money to go to college, and how do you do that, and what resources can you take from that, and everybody's just trying to make a living doing their own thing, right? So I'm doing that and hoping to make the best of it. As it says in my Patreon, I'm into a lot of stuff like video gaming and Square Enix and JRPGs, and just role playing kind of general. Don't get me wrong, I've never really done tabletop role playing, but I do appreciate it. It's being like kind of like the origins for like some of the old school stuff that was done before the other things like Ultima and the I think it's called the Wizards series or something like that. Just like like old school video RPGs, stuff like that. So I don't know. I might do it. Maybe I'll try doing a Twitch and doing like old school RPGs on off of come on Valve. What am I trying to say here? Oh my gosh, I can't actually think of it. Yeah. So anyways, let's not get too distracted. So I don't know. I might read excerpts from Final Fantasy 14 Encyclopedia Eorzea, something like that. I might do something else random here. Just kind of having fun with the channel and figuring out, switching things up a bit, because I get only so many streams from just playing some of my other stuff. So I was kind of disappointed with a while back until recently, and I've been trying to play through the game, and it's been challenging, but not for the right reasons. Was Trials of Mana. I was disappointed with the remake of that series because it's like it doesn't let you make packs with the different elemental spirits, but then you can't use their magic that moves. As now you can use those spells or something like that. Maybe if you were able to level up them or something like that. But no, you can't do that at all. You just got these different abilities that you level up in a training zone or something like that. And just, okay, so ranting about that's fun, but anyway, it's one of those things where I think I'll try and beat the game, but it looks like it's getting kind of difficult as things go on. And when you don't have like the buffs or debuffs that you have, if you were able to have those elemental spells, but no, I don't know. Just a game disappointment there. So I guess I'll have to look for the original version, which probably is only on like Switch. I'm beginning to think I just like kind of have to get a Switch no matter what, especially if I want to play the recent Zeldas. I don't know if they have what is it? Zelda Wind Waker. But that's one that I wanted to play for a long time now, just to check out. And now that they have like a version with the speed sail or whatever that lets you speed around more quickly, I think that'd be more attractive because sometimes you just want to get from place to place and do the missions or the side quests that you want to do. Back on missions with 007, the Link, the Magistrate. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, this is just gonna be a place for just whatever. Here, let's see, launch or something in my this is the first stream in the chat box. Triple exclamation mark. So anyway, yeah, I just Final Fantasy, nerding out, talking about different game memories and stuff like that. A while back, I finally played through Secret of Mana, like the old school version on the Super NES Classic, and that was really, really worthwhile. And that was touchy feely. And I remember getting so far as a kid when my friends rented it to me. I think I got to the Shadow Temple or something like that. It's like, oh, and they're like, yeah, and you were so close to the ending. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Before they asked for it back, and then they just kept the games. It's the same guy. Names were Cody and Aaron, and I've still been in contact with Cody for a while, but I haven't been in contact with his brother for like forever since we were in high school or whatever. And they moved out to Missouri when we were gonna go into sixth grade or something like that. So that was like when we were like 11 and a half or something. So that's 22, 23, 20, about 21 and a half, 22 years since now. So yeah, I have to get in hold of them sometime because I was able to get a hold of my friend Cody, the younger brother, who was my age. Got a hold of me a few years back, just a couple years back during the middle of the pandemic, like 2020, 2021. When was it? Like 2021? I think it was 2021. So it's on in the summer, just a couple of years ago. But I didn't keep track of his phone number. I didn't write it down like some douchebag, and it's just it just bugs me so much because I want to stay in contact with him as a thing. And I feel disappointed I did. And it's like he knows my number, so I just wish he would call again. I just wish he would call again. He lives in some suburb like Greenvale or something, someplace in the Texas area. I'm not gonna really say where, just for privacy reasons. But he lives in Texas, and it's like, yeah, I have most people in my family are like, I would never live in Texas or something like that. And it's like, I don't know, but I guess he's itched out a survival there with his family. He's got a family, so yeah. Versus me, where I'm just some 30-something-year-old weeb. Yeah, I probably need a day job. Pretty bad. But yeah, I still starting this Patreon and gonna do what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I hope somebody catches this live stream. I wish somebody would. But yeah, I don't know, just chilling out and keep my head on straight. I don't know, it's already been about 10 minutes, so not going to be on for too long now. But yeah, just purchased all these art books from Final Fantasy 14 because I decided to kind of just fan out, weeb out on those, and already went through the Realm Reborn one. And actually, I recently finished the storyline, the plot line of Realm Reborn in Final Fantasy 14, and gone to the beginning of Heaven's Sword now. I just finished the stuff where you encounter Iceheart for the first time in that storyline, and it's okay so far. I don't know if I like this the voice actor for Alphinaud in Heaven's Ward. At least what I heard so far didn't sound anything like the other guy in whoever played Alphinaud in first part. I wish I'd kept track of that, but he had a really certain panache to his version of him. It was kind of like stuck up or something like that. And then they really kind of rolled that back with a new actor in Heaven's Ward. So I noticed that. Not that it's necessarily bad, but it's just kind of like okay if you ask me. Oh man, now my eye is bugging me. That's what I get for scratching it. Well, yeah, just kind of doing my thing. I might put up lyrics on my personal lyrics that I write out sometimes if I think of anything, like kind of like hip hoppy kind of stuff. But it's just kind of good, but not like really good. Or I like to kind of keep things kind of like low impact, or just kind of like more nerdy kind of stuff or whatever. It's the kind of dorky kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's okay. I appreciate it. I was listening to, was it Demrick, and on SoundCloud, and he's got this one with Choco Beats or Chalk Beats. Yeah, Chalk Beats, and he mentioned something about a Final Fantasy flow. It's like, oh, you actually got that in there, and that's really cool. But he's kind of acting like, oh, I'm not some nerd like that. It's like, well, I don't know, man. You're the one who got that in there, and then he's bringing up this DJ Hopper, who I know likes to do stuff that's kind of influenced by Final Fantasy. So you never know. Maybe I'll do something in the prime time with mainline series. You can always wish. Final Fantasy and hip hop. Woo! So yeah, just looking forward to getting cavities refilled recently. Fortunately, I have a. I won't go into that. That's not really applicable to the stream or something. But yeah, I've got some minor dental issues to take care of. Um, yeah. So besides that, I mentioned that I like to get into Final Fantasy, and I like script writing stuff. So I've started this thing called Spirits of Dying, and it's this script that I'm currently writing. So I don't know if it could be like a TV thing or like a brief novel or something like that, but it's just kind of cool. I really like this one called Final Fantasy VII. Or Final Fantasy VII compilation. The kids are all right. I had a copy of it, and as well as a copy of the On the Way to a Smile one, brief novels. And my dad must have either put them away in storage in our off-site storage thing, or I don't know. They may have threw them out or something like that, but I just can't find them around anymore. It's just like, wah. Because yeah, I enjoyed reading that, and I don't know. Now things are to the point where I'm into maybe rereading some of the stuff that I own. Another manga that I'm into is Final Fantasy Lost Stranger. More Final Fantasy. Woo! And yeah, I don't know. Let's go through like the my familiarity with the Final Fantasies I have. The original one, I had a copy of 1 and 2 Final Fantasy Origins for Game Boy Advance. I played through the original and the extra dungeons that were in there. 2, what a surprise! I got about 30% of the way through the game. I mean, when you think of like the leveling that you have to do after certain points or in the game where all of a sudden it levels up the enemy's power and you have to level up your own enemies, your own characters' spells and attack spells and just the whole shebang of all the leveling that it takes with the different spells and attack affinities in the game makes it to where it's kind of daunting to really take on all of Final Fantasy 2. But it is doable from what I know. But it's one of those ones that kind of takes longer than other ones. It's not as accessible like the whole game through someone. So I kind of like about going back to that, finding out. I know there's a nearby secondhand resale store called Game uh, Side Quest Games, and they have a copy of Final Fantasy V there, and just I'll go back to that. But Final Fantasy One is one that five is one that I haven't really tried. Um, I really want to take on that one, maybe even get as far as getting leveled up enough to face on Shinryu and or Omega, which are the optional bosses at the end of the game. But even if not, then just X Death and his final version. So going back to the ones that my familiarity in general with these games, Final Fantasy 3. I played on DS and played through all the way to finishing off Cloud of Darkness and earning the side quest, the thing where you have to hook up more than one Final Fantasy 3 at a time. I literally bought multiple Final Fantasy 3s, and I had a reason to get like a new DS, which I got with a copy of Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, let's just talk about that. Familiarity with Final Fantasies and Kingdom Hearts as it is. So I got like I think a DS and also a thing of Kingdom Hearts already coded, and I had pretty much got myself a second. Yeah, I got a second copy or a nicer copy of Final Fantasy 3, and I ended up playing. Oh no, I guess it was the original one, which was a gift from a friend named Jack. Well, his actual name was what was his? Let's just go with Jack right now. But oh, Kevin. His actual name was Kevin, and yeah, he's a real cool dude. A little bit spastic, but fun. Definitely fun. He even teach me some judo stuff, or I don't know, some taekwondo judo stuff. But he did a roundhouse on me. And yeah, threw me over his shoulder. I was like, "Whoa, dude, that's awesome!" Like, like a lot bigger than him, and he's like, whew. Yeah, so that was fun. Actually, it was kind of frightening. But anyway, so back to Final Fantasies. Yeah, so I played through Final Fantasy 3 on DS. So I'm not familiar with like the pixel versions or like the old school. I think there were some glitches with like the original pixel versions. Anyway, and so I'm not so familiar with that stuff, but like the different glitches in that. Although generally, when I think they say Final Fantasy 3 glitches, they mean the thing with Realm where you can totally erase your file if you do certain things with her or whatever, with her abilities. So back to Final Fantasy 4. I own a copy of that for Game Boy Advance, the Final Fantasy IV Advance version, and it's just when you get to a certain dungeon where it requires you to supposedly not use metal weapons, and you have to use like a bow and arrow, I think, as like Cecil after you've leveled up like so far already, and it's just kind of like all of a sudden it sets you back like a whole bunch, and all you have is like 3 characters when you used to have Palom and Porum, and it's just spoilers, everybody, but they get taken out, and all of a sudden you don't have a white mage on your party, and it's like, oh shit, crap. What's going on? I'm sure you have Cecil, who's a paladin now, so he can use white mage, but it's like you have to choose between doing that and your offensive abilities with him, and it's just I don't know. I don't really like that plot twist very much. It's like taking away your white mages and or your better white mages. I don't know how you're supposed to go on from there, but I might try and figure out sometime. But I guess I don't really feel like to push it. I don't know how they could have, but apparently they decided to make it more difficult on DS or the 3D version as it is called, more generally known, because obviously you can like download for phones or whatever now. I'm not really big into like mobile gaming. I don't really see that. I tried playing Brave Exvius for a while and it was okay-ish, but I just got kind of tired of the download times every time you wanted to get into the game, the battery sapping of it, and the amount of space it took up on your phone. It's like unless you have like the highest like quality or highest capacity phones, mobile gaming isn't really so hot anyway. So I don't know. Maybe phones are more utilitarian and like good for like taking some videos or taking some pictures and stuff like that. But mobile gaming is just kind of so all the ads that they send me over like YouTube or whatever are just kind of meh. Or if I'm trying to watch anime on freaking Crunchyroll. Now they keep on uploading all of these new seasons on Crunchyroll, and then they don't get to like Netflix or Hulu until later, if at all. Like underlined at all. And I'm just really discordant with that. Some people say that Crunchyroll kind of ruins anime, and it's like, yeah, it kind of does. Just with all the freaking ads on there. I mean, at first I was kind of happy with it, and then I stopped watching for a little while on One Piece because I pretty much what happened is I watched up to the Dressrosa arc. Okay, side roll thing. Let's just talk about One Piece for a second. And then I watched all the way from like the second season because I was already familiar with the first season, the most of the sorry, the East Blue arc, because um, because I had it in manga form, and I also had Skypiea, but I went to watch the second season, and I said, "What the heck? I'll watch Skypiea anyway," and I watched the Skypiea one, and then I'd also watched um, the Water Seven and these lobby arcs when they had them on Toonami. So many, like now it's been since like 2014 or so. So yeah, and then since then they've brought it back on the Fishman Island arc and forward. Now they're on where I was the what am I saying? The Fire and Ice Island. I forget about it. I forget its name. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done much One Piece related because yeah, I just got to caught up to Wano arc, and then it's like I tried watching it on Crunchyroll, and it's just like all the ads, and then at some point I tried going back to watching it, and it just kept it did like a roll of like 3 to 4 to 5 ads, and it hit me with another 3 to 4 ads, and then another 3 to 4 ads, and I was just like, oh no, it's algorithm screwed up on me like again. And I'm like, okay, this kind of pisses me off. And I just kind of done with it. I'll try and keep up with on and off with the manga on Viz's the official site on Viz.com. But yeah, I don't really know like how I'm gonna keep up with it unless they next time that they come out with another manga box set. I wish they'd just come out with like a Wano one now and just say here's Wano arc and not have to do more volumes than just Wano arc, because now I just kind of want to catch up with that, and it doesn't take that long in the manga. Like don't get me Dressrosa, which they're not really that far from at this point. They're at least halfway through. What's its name? I don't remember the name of the arc, but the arc after the Fisherman arc. And so yeah, so back to Final Fantasy anyway. Let's straighten out go back to there. So Final Fantasy 4, I pretty much explained. So like, I know like generally I've gone through most of Final Fantasies and I know the arc of most of them except for like 10, kind of, and 12, which is really like the ones where I kind of wish that they'd re-release like the re-release the PlayStation near classic version of the PlayStation and PS2 versions of the games, or if maybe like an advanced version with some of the cheat stuff and whatever. Or I'd really like it if they did that. If they did a version where you could just skip over certain little points of the game, like where you have to run past the guard in Final Fantasy VII. Because admittedly, the part in the Shinra Tower where you have to run past the guards, it's just kind of dumb, kind of like this is like some weird kind of thing. This is setting me back, and I haven't been able to do it after trying it like 8, 9, 11, 12 times. And it's kind of boring, like kind of like sets you back. It's kind of like the thing with Final Fantasy 4 and Dungeon in there, where you can't use the metal weapons supposedly, and it just seems like a kind of dinky kind of drawback kind of thing to the game. Like the one in Final Fantasy 4 seems more creative than this thing in 7 where you have to just run past the guards, and it's like it's actually really a pain in the butt. And yeah, it's like if there's a save soon after that, then I definitely want to get it. But just some ability to just skip over little certain portions of the game. I know that's not very sportsmanlike, but Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy, and I think that there's some reason to do something like that, especially with like the longer ones, like the PlayStation ones. Even though 9 is one of those ones where I say that I like it enough that I also don't let it do that. But no, I think it's kind of reasonable if you just want to skip past like a certain point and just have it register, okay, you got the experience from so and so boss or something like that, or so and so battles. And I think it's kind of reasonable, just because people sometimes want to get beyond a certain point in the game. Maybe less so bosses than just certain little points in the game, like stuff like that, like mini games and stuff like that. That's what's kind of nice about 9, is that most of the mini game stuff there I think is actually optional, versus where they've got like multiple things where they expect you to get like a lot of the better stuff. And 7, you have to play mini games like also in Gold Saucer. So I'm kind of like, oh, huh. But hey, they got some fun stuff in there too, and I mean the optional stuff is supposed to be worth it. So I just wanted to be able to get to the point where I get to the end of Disc 1 in Final Fantasy 7, to be really honest, and move on in the game. And of course, obviously, get Red 13, who is a badass character. I love Red 13, so it makes me mad that they can't get to him, obviously. So back to what I was saying about familiarity with Final Fantasies. Final Fantasy 5, it's one that I've read about somebody playing through. Somebody had a blog years back. I don't remember what it was called. It was playing through the Japanese versions of the game, even though he was like an English speaker. I thought that was kind of cool because myself, I had been in Japanese when I was in high school. 4 years, I had honor chords. Actually, the thumbnail that I used for this video um, shows me in those chords, and that was intentionally used. It's kind of like a thing that I'm proud of. I don't know if I entirely deserved honors course or honors membership, but it's still cool that they think that I earned it because if I remember my actual, I think I was more like I don't know. I guess I was like an A student in that class. Maybe I did do most of the work and I did earn it, but it just didn't feel like it sometimes. So maybe I really was. I've considered maybe getting training to be a Japanese teacher. That could be kind of cool. It's like a professional thing to do. But I just don't think like I kind of wish it's something I had aspired to when I was younger. But my mom just pushed me away and pushed me away and pushed me away from doing anything constructive with myself for like years and years. And now she's finally passed away, and it's like, what do I do with myself? I'm like 30 some weeb and hanging out doing YouTube and Patreon stuff. Well, it's something. Sorry, people. It's more than something. You're wonderful. You are my fan base. You are excellent. Please watch my streams. I wish somebody was actually on here. So, yeah, Final Fantasy V. It's one that I actually really like the sound of, and I like the sound of the gameplay. Sound like the constructed, the battle and level up design and stuff like that. I mean, I might be a little bit so about it. To me, it's just the the what's it called again thing where you take turns, like whenever the meter, the AT active times battle ATB active time battle system. Hello, it's like everybody knows this. It's legendary. But yeah, like I played Chrono Trigger up to the point of just kind of a side track again. But it's kind of Chrono Trigger is it's a spin-off of Final Fantasy more or less. It's using stuff like potions and certain other stuff, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure. And years back for the DS, I played through to pretty much when you get to Zeal, and then when you get to the top that you have to climb to the top of that mountain and challenge that one big boss with like the head and the two hands, and then you have to like defeat like one of the hands and the head, something like that. I just remember that I wasn't able to defeat even the single golem when I went up against the golem, and then it lets you still continue on in the game. And then I was able to get to the top of the mountain and beat the boss that's there, which I don't remember the name of the boss. It's like Chrono Trigger is badass, but I'm not as eloquently versed in it as some people are. So I tried replaying the game, and I got pretty close to the point of the monster that uses all the water-based skills and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it either, but yeah. Anyway, Chrono Trigger is a badass game, and I definitely kind of look forward to trying to. They should do like a release of it and Chrono Cross, right? Like both of them together. But yeah, going over to the Mana series, that's when they should be also releasing like collections of the game, and particularly like the classic versions of them, like Secret of Mana and Trials of Mana, or all three of those along with the original Sword of Mana, or whatever you want to call it. But to me, if you ask me, I think that the remake of Sword of Mana, some people don't like so much, like, no, the original version and like the Game Boy version and all that. And I'm like, I don't know, like Game Boy Advance version is actually kind of good-ish. Like me, I played through all that, leveled up my character really high, got a lot of the rare stuff there where you collect like all of the elemental spirits of each elemental variety. There are like 8 of them each in the Game Boy Advance Sword of Mana. Eventually sort of sold that game too, and I was like, just the games they sold, and now they're doing this stuff where they're finally doing this stuff where they're making them collectible, and like the CGC or whatever, they want to do their own site around that. it's like, oh, people are finally appreciating the collectability of games and stuff, and it's like, damn. It just took years, right? It's taken like years for them to really get into that, make it that big of a deal. Like you can't even find a what is it, magazine covers that actually fit like Game Informers or like Otaku. I'm sorry, Anime, Otaku USA anime magazine format magazines, stuff like that are wider than that. Like other kind of magazines are cool and all, but ones that I partake in are have a wider format. Even though with Game Informer, I got a recent subscription. I'm not really reading much of them, honestly. It just seems like I'm just kind of not into the. What I'm waiting for, admittedly, is the Final Fantasy 16 one. If it already came out, if they already did, I don't know if they already did something on it like last year. I don't think so. I think it's going to come out probably in a month or two now, sometime between their May or June issue, probably their May issue. They'll hopefully do something, some article around it. Maybe it won't even be their main article. Maybe it'll be one of their secondary articles, because they did a big deal on Final Fantasy 15, and Final Fantasy 15 ended up being kind of a bit of a flop. So maybe they're going to be more cautious about what they center their content around. But yeah, back to Final Fantasy. It's Final Fantasy 5. I know. I guess there's some parts that where it can be kind of hard to tell where to go or where to progress. But if you got game facts, they're a good resource for the old school game Final Fantasy games. So Final Fantasy 5 is one where I should probably pick up that copy for Game Boy Advance and just freaking play it. You know what I mean? Like really, like if it's something that you think that you'd be into, and you're so confident about that, then go play the damn game, play it through, and try and get to the end. But there are other entries that I've still got invested in that I'm not finished with. Like 3 was one of those ones that took me like longer than it ever should have. It took me like something like 8.5, 9 years or something like that. And it's like, why did it take you that long? It's not even ATB to where it's like actually, um, like, where maybe there's some kind of challenge or some boss that you can't seem to overcome. The first major boss in the mountains in Final Fantasy VI, I didn't think I was gonna be able to complete that, and I beat it like in just sparing of just like a bit of HP or something like that, and it was just challenging as heck, but it was made to be challenging early on. So yeah, going on with Final Fantasy VI, e.g. Final Fantasy 3 for Super Nintendo. I picked up the Super NES Classic, so I played through to the part where you get to the Veldt, and you get to the city in the east side of the Veldt, or town, I guess, as it would be, and just leveling up stuff with Gao and with your other characters. I don't remember a bunch of stuff with some of these games because I just let it go for too long. Right now, I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 for the MMO for PS4, and it's just been taking up my everything. And I just kind of feeling now like I kind of feel like changing it up now that I've gotten into Heaven's Sword and playing something else. Maybe my Trials of Mana for PS4, maybe something else, because the Trials of Mana, like I told you, is kind of like a shot in the foot when you can't use any of the elemental spells and stuff like that. So yeah, Final Fantasy VI. I'm familiar with like what happens in Final Fantasy VI to some extent as well. So it's like it's kind of tough to play through these games when you already kind of know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like I've read through most of the FAQ of like say Final Fantasy VI, so I know like even how the end roll. Because I guess one of these game facts or something, one of the people there actually meant goes through like what all happens and like what scrolls through and the end game and stuff like that. So, but still, it's interesting, and getting most of the espers and most of the other rare equipment and stuff is kind of a challenge. But it's one of those things where it sounds kind of complicated, but isn't always as complicated as you let it seem to yourself. So yeah, it might be one of those things I might want to go back to, but I don't know if I want to do it that version. My version of things is just that I'd like to be able to get a version of like each of the the PlayStation and PS2 Final Fantasies, with exception to 11, because obviously 11 is 11. Like anymore, it's pretty much just a PC game only. I mean, from what I know of, because I mean, unless they made some version of it portable to like a modern console, or did whatever they wanted to do with it. Maybe some other kind of spin-off. They did one spin-off game, I think, for like the DS or 3. I think it was like early on in the 3DS era. As a spin-off of I don't remember what they call the world in Final Fantasy 11, but the world of Final Fantasy 11. And yeah, so another major thing or based in that world, spin-off from that game would probably be a good idea. I mean, maybe something like a real-time, not a real-time strategy, but I don't know what they call like a RTS or like a strategy game where you have to talk from like Final Fantasy Tactics style game. That's what I'm trying to say. A tactics style game, maybe, or something else. Maybe something maybe along the lines of like a high tier action game like Square Enix recently released thing where they want to do more high tier HD high quality HD games. So maybe something based in the world of Final Fantasy 11 could be cool. I don't know. That's an idea because it's like a world that some people just are not familiar with at all. They didn't get into Final Fantasy 11 back in there anymore. Final Fantasy 14 is more, the in kind of thing. Like there are lots of people who do Final Fantasy 14, and yeah. So going back to my familiarity with Final Fantasies, so I already brought up Final Fantasy 7, and it's just like I haven't gotten past the part with the two guards and whatever. But of course, I'm familiar with Final Fantasy 7. I bought. So this stinks. I got a copy, a 4K of all things, a 4K version of Advent Children, and it doesn't have any of the extra stuff on it. It just has the movie. It even advertises all the extras on the back, and it doesn't have them on the disc. It's such BS. Like, how could they got something with all that space and all they were able to fit on there was the movie? I kind of doubt that, and it's just weird because I wanted to have the reminiscence of Final Fantasy VII and watch through that again, or the stuff about the other games and extras that they had. And it's like, no, it advertises them on the back, but then it's not on a disc. It's like, whatever. I should have just gotten the basic Blu-ray version. I just know I should have, but I don't know. It was kind of worth it just watching the movie. It's like fun and all, and it's cool because I could tell which parts were the director's cut, spliced in versions, and it actually did improve on the movie and made it feel more full or more connected as it is, a little less avant-garde, not in a bad way, just made a bit more sense or more connected, especially on like the Turk side of the story, which is in no small part a good decent part of the story. Just a few scenes actually, but I'd say definitely if you haven't watched it, it's still worth watching again and watching that version of it instead. But I'd say get the Blu-ray version, not the 4K version, because there's more chance that the Blu-ray version has those extras on it. And I don't know why, but the 4K version, heads up, does not have those extras on it. So if you're watching this stream, if anybody ever watches it, which I'm kind of wondering if anybody's ever going to, because I'm just some weeb dude who's nowhere close to having 1,000 views, and you know what? No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna follow through. I'm just gonna keep on going on. So Final Fantasy VII, I'm familiar with most of Final Fantasy VII. I know what goes on in Final Fantasy VII, but I still like to play through the damn game. Again, it's one of those things that just a moddable version of the game where you can like flip through certain chapters and then play there, and then like I guess I guess at worst, they may warn you, oh, you need to level up now that you've gotten to this version or something like that. And then maybe it won't. Maybe it will only let you skip through like so far. So with me, it's like, okay, the next boss is level 20, something like that, and it's Rufus Shinra, right? Or I believe that's the next boss. I don't know. I know there's something. Maybe there's some other battle or something else that has to do with getting Red 13 on your team. But otherwise, there's Rufus Shinra is I believe the next one, at least according to this. So one of these third-party guides, I even got a player's guide for it. All I know is I read through some of the parts from the late game where you have to sneak into the city again if you want to get some extras and stuff like that through the sewers. And just the map for it is so convoluted. Even though like a few of the scenes are just, excuse me, are just going through tunnel section after tunnel section. And yeah, it was just a badly done or just a convoluted part of the guide. Probably is, no matter which version. It's probably hard to fit all those map pieces onto the pages. And yeah, it's a version. It's a game that I aspire to play through. It's the old school Final Fantasy VII. I mean, the remake, I'm big into. Okay, so let's go into remake. So I'm not so into playing the original version of remake, even though I am interested in it. I recently watched a video of somebody playing the motorcycle chase thing toward the end, and that looked kind of cool and all. And I have got some general familiarity with a few other scenes in the game, but otherwise, I might pick up a copy and play it. If anything, I'd probably preferably have uh, the updated version for PS5. I don't know. I guess would have some of the extras on it that it wouldn't have for PS4, as well as being prettier. I don't really. From what I've learned, if it's anything past 1080p, the visual, or maybe it's more like 1440p, anything past 1440p, the visual, appeal or acuity is so barely noticeable past 1440p to 4K that there's like this whole thing where PS5s can play 8K video. It's like there's hardly any space in that genre anyway in the first place, because it's just gotten to the point where it's so ridiculous that it's like what's happening? Like, is it supposed to bend reality or something? Because it might as well be. So yeah, it's my opinion on just the whole thing. The high def scene is that it's alright, but 720 to 1440 is pretty much a space there. And with the RTS, uh, I forget what that stands for, but graphical upgrading, or whatever you want to call it, or kind of like exponential improvement of graphics, and just like how it makes things so nice. It's like the remasterings that people have done of like Final Fantasy VII. Like, isn't there some version on? It's on the tip of my tongue now. The version of the Valve. What is it called again? Oh my gosh, I'm just blanking out here. So obviously, I'm not a PC gamer because I can't even think of the. Um, I almost want to go and flip and look it up on here, but Valve's gaming service, whatever the heck it's called, the one that's pretty much got the majority of the market share, or like a large section of it, but also because it provides all this indie games and stuff like that, which is cool. But between there and a Switch, they get like a lot of indies and stuff like that. I just kind of wish that PS4 got more of the ones that the PC did, or that Switch and the PC do. I guess that Switch does. The PS4, the PS5. At this rate, it's kind of like the thing with the PS5 is like, it even plays PS4 games. So, if you want to get a PS4, go ahead and get a PS4. But happen to also have a PS5 because I got one for myself. Obviously, I want Final Fantasy 16. Let's just get to the end, skip to the end of the line of my familiarity with Final Fantasies for a second, and just say that Final Fantasy 16 looks pretty awesome. Now, admittedly, it's a mature rated game, so it's gonna be one of those things where it's like, I don't think you can even buy it unless you're at least 17 or 18 years old. I think it's like 17, maybe. I don't know. I think it used to be 17. Now I think they kind of look at people like, are you 18 or up or not? It's like, or I don't think it asks for. Maybe it does ask for your. I don't know. Like, I don't. I don't think I never even bought. I think Dad got me this game called Metro Exodus, probably from GameSpot or whatever. Sorry, Stop. GameStop. Get those inter. I get those mixed up sometimes. And I haven't really I haven't really uploaded it onto either my PS4 or my PS5, and it's one of those things where I've considered playing, but I don't think I've ever really even not like personally owned or uploaded a mature game ever. So Final Fantasy 16, I'm really looking forward to because it just looks to be a really kick butt game in the realm of Final Fantasy games. I'm just kind of sad that they had to do a mature rating, but not really because it just looks good. It just looks really good. And it just looks like kind of tough on the action side of things. Like I might go for story mode only, just to be able to play through the game and have it kind of cherry pick abilities for you that you actually most need. I don't know how that's gonna work or switching between it and action mode. Like maybe it's really seamless. I'm kind of hoping that it is. That if you want to go out side questing on your own, it's kind of seamless to do that. If you want to beef up your character, because you got to think if you're doing just the story mode, and that way there's less chance that you're gonna be. Maybe it has like some kind of a level sync thing, so it's kind of it doesn't let you get over leveled, and it kind of matches your difficulty with the difficulty of the bosses. I'm kind of wondering if it does something like that. I don't know why I haven't even heard about that in the people from the people doing creators videos for it. Um, so going back to Final Fantasy, so yeah, Final Fantasy 7, big fan of just the general franchise, sub franchise that it is. I say sub franchise because obviously Final Fantasy is its own thing. I even bought the visual biography of Yoshitaka Amano when that came out a few years back. So that was really cool to me. So that's one of the things from that bent stuff that did some Japanese thing that works with or them, and there's something Pixel, some French company. Yeah, what bothers me is that the Lost Stranger manga, they're always like a volume and a half ahead of us in France, apparently. There's some French company that publishes the manga, and it's a lot more caught up than we are with them. Like they just came out with volume 8, and so I just decided to get myself volume 7 to get myself a volume closer there. But I've read through the first 6 volumes. I mean, I kind of haven't read the first volume, but I already know what really happened there, and it's kind of like already summated it, so I can always just reread that again, I guess. But I just really like the cover art and the how the titles reference some of the soundtracks from the series. So in Final Fantasy VIII is probably one of the bigger ones, along with 13 and 15, where it's just like the gameplay of the system, the battle system in particular. I don't know if I'd really enjoy. I'm kind of curious about it. And then there's also a mini game, I think so. So there's something with like some speeding train, and you have to complete some requirements like really unbelievably quickly to actually get past the game. And it's one of those things where I'm just kind of thinking like I'm gonna get that far in the game and then I'm just gonna give up probably because it's such a pain in the arse. Like it's doable, but it's just such a Such a close call that I'd kind of rather skip past it. That's what they really got to do with these Final Fantasies. Do something where you can just kind of like mod over it. I know that sounds terrible in some ways. Like, no, you gotta enjoy the whole game the way it is. And it's like these games have been around so long. If you did some version like that, it's like they have the option to speed the game up, like the game's gameplay, like all the gameplay. And that's actually like a thing. Like I think there's already mods in the PC community, and then they released these versions of at least 7 and 9. I think have versions like that. So like if you do the chocobo minigame in 9, you can go bing, 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 and just hopefully find the stuff that you want to, but you don't have to waste as much time to go through the system and whatever. I can't believe people who can do the jump rope minigame at the beginning of Final Fantasy 9. It's like that thing is like just timing is just so I got like about 20 things in, or 20 or 25, and it just kicked me out after I got up to that amount. So Final Fantasy 8 and now Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9 is probably like my biggest kind of thing that I'm proud of with modern or semi-modern. I still consider something like 9. It's like I don't know, but just in a way, it's not even really modern anymore, is it? Let's just be honest with all people. Final Fantasy 9 was 2000. At least for Western folks, it was 2000. I know it was 99 for Japanese folks, but otherwise, for the majority of the world, it was 2000. And it's 2023 now. And then people are saying maybe there's going to be some remake. I don't think there's going to be a remake. If anything, I wish they'd do something other kind of spin off or something else like that, preferably in the actual style of it. But the kids' animation that they're producing supposedly for, I don't know, like Netflix or who. I guess part of the thing is who's even going to stream it, if it's going to be streamed, which is probably going to be streamed. I heard rumors that there was supposed to be a Final Fantasy 14 show at some point or another, and then that didn't come to fruition. You can't even find anything about it on Wikipedia, but I did see a news article about them planning some kind of a show for Final Fantasy 14 after they did Dad of Light. I think it was Dad of Light special. And yeah, I think it'd be really cool if they did some other kind of spin off of Final Fantasy 14, preferably a game more than a show. But Final Fantasy 14 is just really sick. There's so much content that you could choose to transduce, translate into like an action RPG or something like that. And just how you would do it would be really interesting. But especially if you made like a gauntlet of like gauntlet, like different gameplay pathways for the different base classes or something like that, and then be able to level them up and do a job switch or something like that when you get to a higher level. Could be really cool, but it's just like Final Fantasy 14. I mean, now that I've taken the time to get through Realm Reborn, I'm actually one of those people who's kind of like, okay, now wait, there's Heaven's Sword, there's what's the one after Heaven's Sword? Oh, come on. Anyway, the one after Heaven's Sword, and then Shadowbringers, and then Endwalker, and then whatever 7.0 is going to be. And it's like, there's just so much content, and it's like one of those things where I'm just kind of like, now I kind of just want to watch it like a movie because that's what so much of it is anyway. not to say that's all that there is, because of course there's plenty of other stuff there. But it would be just kind of cool to at least, I don't know. I just don't know. I know it's too soon to ask for something like that, because it's like, even though it's been 10 years, like 10 years of Realm Reborn. Oh, which is awesome. Congratulations, Yoshi. What's his name? Something Yoshi something. but Yoshi P. Congratulations and Naoki Yoshida and just everyone who's worked on there. And I've got these art books, so I can call out the names of the concept artists if I wanted to. I just have to go pick up one of the volumes and start reading through. That's concept artists, though. It's not like everybody. There's so many other like animators that go into the work of these things. There, I mean, with the Realm Reborn itself, you had 2 credit rolls. You have the first version after you complete the main version through defeating La Habrea, and then you have through the end of the rebellion in Ul'dah, which does not go prettily, especially if your name is Raoban. Wow. Spoilers. No, I mean, it's been around for years. I think I watched a video of it like years back or so because it was kind of unsurprising to me. Like, oh, wait, I've already seen this. And I literally did. Someone put up a video of it and I actually had the Wi-Fi. Because me, I try to live stream my video gaming on my PS4, and it just shut down on me when I tried doing it so many times ago. At first, I couldn't; it wouldn't let me put in my wanted other authorization, so it wanted my YouTube authorization, and I tried putting it in, and it wouldn't accept it. And it was like, okay. And then I tried another time, and it didn't ask for it for some reason. But then it's like it caught me or something like that, and then it just shut down on me, and so I didn't upload the video at all. So back to my familiarity with Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy VIII, I've got some generally good familiarity with the story of Final Fantasy VIII too. So it's like I already. Oh, excuse me. I just flipped people off. That was not cool. That was not intentional. I meant to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I wasn't trying to flip people off. I was just trying to count to 8. I wasn't trying to flip anyone off. Sorry about that. So yeah, so I don't have like really in-depth knowledge though. So it's one of those things I should just try and play the damn game. Kind of like 5. Don't judge a book by its cover. But I'm just kind of worried about being lousy at it or not being able to. I don't know how drilling, drilling levels works in the game, or if you even necessarily can get that over levels or anything. And then there's the thing about the mini games, like the thing with the train or whatever. I'm just thinking now, like how many games have something with the train? Because even I guess Final Fantasy 14 doesn't. No, yeah. It's the Phantom train that the Garleans use to transport from. Was it like Meridianum to the other one, or is it from? No, it's from either. I think it's Orions. I think it's Castrum Orions and Gridania to Castrum Meridianum in the central or northern Thanalan central region of Eorzea. I don't know. The geology is a little bit funky, but not too bad in Final Fantasy 14. But yeah, I'm just thinking how many games have like trains in them versus airships, which are kind of more traditional thing that in there. That's one of the things is Final Fantasy 16 probably isn't going to have any airships. It's actually kind of a big deal if you think about it. And we don't know that it won't. Maybe that's like an end game thing that only allows you to do if you've like completed the game and you don't want to do a new game plus. You just want to try and complete the other side quests that you hadn't done and go for 100% or whatever. Which hopefully it like has some version of that you can do that. Like maybe some kind of probably toward the end they'll have some kind of like time travel thing, and so you'll be able to complete the quests from when you're a 20-year-old as well. So I figure as it's not that big of a deal. The ones from when you're 15, I think that it's kind of more like linear toward when you're 15. So there's probably some reason to go back, but probably like only like 1 or 2 pathways or something like that you can pick besides main one and not that much extra side questing early on, just to keep you focused on the narrative to a certain point in the game. It seems like a strong choice overall. But I'm looking forward to especially 20-year-old Clive and see what the story goes into when you get past Garuda, because obviously they already shown the stuff with versus Garuda, and it looks really cool, but it was a little bit spoilery, but it was still pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And there's still probably plenty more of the game than that to go into. I mean, there better be. Obviously they will be. I mean, if they're putting this much money into this game, and they are, people are saying, "Oh, it will not be a Game of the Year game." I think it'll be the first thing challenging Final Fantasy 14 in the JRPG. So I don't know. It's like Game of the Year is such a thing. It's not even like it's just generally. I mean, it's reasonable, but it's not like the doesn't have the selection of categories that you maybe think that it could have by this time. It's been around for like 15, 16, it's like 16, 17 years or so. Maybe it's only about 14, 15. So it hasn't been around. Game of the Year hasn't even been around that long. But yeah, it'll probably win some things, like maybe score. Maybe if you ask me, that's one of the things about the videos is that the score of the game, the music sounds really good for 16. So going back to Final Fantasy 9, we were on talking about Final Fantasy 9. So I've gotten to like about the middle of disc 2, to the point when you get what's her name? The white mage girl, the other summoner white mage, not Dagger, of course, but the other one who has like the funny pants that actually show like her abdomen or something. It's just like the weirdest character. But yeah, I miss old school Final Fantasy 9 is actually really impressive. I playing that game, I was really enjoyed it. Then I just got distracted and got into other stuff. Maybe trying to play Final Fantasy 15 on PS4, and then it ended up being kind of a downplaying. And other things happened in my life. I experienced a lot of schizophrenia and psychosis and stuff like that. And yeah, my mental health went down the tube for a couple of years, like a year and a half, 2 years. And actually, I think I got Final Fantasy 15. Getting into Final Fantasy 15 and getting into the PS4 in general was actually kind of my way out of my hole, or something stabilizing at least. So yeah, kind of figured I had to find some other kind of stabilizing force in my life. Now I've got comic books too. I don't know if that's such a good idea, because you can overdo it with comic books, and I think I am. So Final Fantasy X, going into Final Fantasy X series, because there's no 10-3, but people have been rumoring that there will be one for years and years. I don't really think there's going to be, because it just seems like it's gone past its time. But I think I'd like it if they did something like that. They did something in the realm of the world of Final Fantasy X. It doesn't have to be 10-3. It can be like some kind of total original thing in that world. Like maybe from the viewpoint of like one of those characters who speaks that other language that you have to piece together, like in 10-2. Because I played like the very beginning of 10-2, and you get to the first boss, and then I got wiped in the first boss, and it's like, oh, I don't really know what's really wrong with this, because I kind of thought that the way it's designed, you would probably be able to completely pass the first boss, but the first boss is like an ice crab. Spoilers, but not that big of spoilers, because it's like the first boss. And yeah, it wasn't. It's like the boreal crab or something, just called Boreas or something. And I wasn't able to beat the boss. So I probably needed to level some more. I'm guessing probably get more familiar with how to use my classes and stuff like that. But yeah, 10 series is just like a total revamp of the system. And I haven't really played again. It's like 10. It's another one that I really need to try out and just do. I'm waiting for the 40th anniversary because I'm figuring out they're going to do some re-release of some of these games. They've already begun with the pixel remasters. I'm hoping that they expand with a release of those ones, and then also do an expanded release of the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 ones. It's pretty much what I'm getting to. It's like a thing of my familiarity with these games and what they do with them, like some kind of like expanded thing of like every version, like also like so with 4 they have the after years, so yeah, do a version where you also have the after few years with it and you can play it whether or not you've completed the original 4, because why not? You can just download it anyway on mobile as it is, I believe. So just yeah, console friendly version of these games. When I say console friendly is hopefully not like too. It's like I know with 8 they did a remastered version of it, and they changed some of the graphics on some of the characters, like some of the enemies were like Shiva or something. Yeah, it was Shiva, and like the graphical thing, they put more clothing over like breasts and stuff like that when there like wasn't the original version. I was like, wow, really? Square Enix made some skanky version of Shiva without anything over her breasts. And it's like that's so typical of like prototypical of like PlayStation era RPG goodness. So humble. Skank Shiva. Oh yeah, and then with what I've gone over with Final Fantasy 14, I don't mean to say that I don't appreciate Heaven's Sword or any of the stuff after that. In fact, if anything, it's just that I don't want to spoil. Like I got in the Encyclopedia Eorzea, I could just spoil myself on some of the storyline stuff, at least part ways, because they have some information about it, and I don't want to spoil myself. And it's just so it gets tough just even combating like level 50 creatures and stuff like that um, when you get to that level in the game. And obviously leveling gets gotten a lot slower ever from the time that you're about level 45 or 46 and onward. I know it's even worse if you try a new character or something like that. There are even less missions out there for you to play to level your character with if you do a new character. And there's kind of something inside me that just pushed me, just try it anyway, just try it anyway. And I was kind of like, no, I think I'm gonna stick with my summoner and just kind of play through the game when we got there. My summoner is also a botanist. I started doing a gathering thing with the botanist quests. I got to level 5 and I just kind of blew it off again. So Final Fantasy X, as I probably mentioned, Final Fantasy 11 is probably one of the ones that I'm absolutely most like. I have no clue. I know like some of the super bosses in the game. That's what I know from the thing. There's just a legendariness to some of these games that took like hours and hours to complete. And I was like, that's so ridiculous. Like I would never, like just know. It's like the extreme or harder matches in Final Fantasy 14 or Savage, Extreme, and Ultra. And it's just like I tried Savage mode Garuda. I mean, not Savage, but Extreme mode Garuda, and we just kept getting wiped over and over again. Somebody said, let's try just logging out and stopping this madness. And then they said no. The majority of the people said no. Then we tried like 1 or 2 more times, and people kind of backed out, and then finally just left it. And it was like, yeah, that was bastardishly hard. It was really, really difficult. Like, I don't see how you're supposed to complete that because. And then afterward, of course, I have to go here on YouTube. I watch a video of somebody completing it on their own. It's just like, I don't like you very much. No, I really appreciate people if they can complete those challenges. Like that's just amazing to me because it's hard stuff. I'm not like a really hard mode gamer. Like there's this game called Ender Lilies I was playing, and it's like that. It's like a really challenging platforming one. And I just got to like the 4th boss in the game, and it's lucky I got that far. I actually pushed that far, and then it's just like it's a crazy boss battle, and it just transforms into this even more difficult boss thing. It just has these pillars of damage that come up against you, and yeah, just kind of going off into another tangent, but it's a really beautiful game. It's Ender Lilies. I definitely say if you want to see it play something for the beauty of it, it's kind of worth that. Just very desolate and one of the, of course, a post-apocalyptic landscape. No surprise there. So original, right? That's what I like about Final Fantasy is it usually doesn't rely on post-apocalyptic themes. It generally relies on you preventing and making you feel really accomplished for doing so, which is actually a pretty good, pretty decent setup. It's not the only one to do so, but I mean, you're either side on apocalypse, you're either post-apocalyptic or you're pre-apocalyptic. uh, so yeah, then after Final Fantasy 11, which like I said, they had some kind of side game for like I think it was 3DS or something like that. I'm pretty confident they had someone there. I just don't remember what they call the world in Final Fantasy 11 right now. I'm really sorry to fans of Final Fantasy 11. I don't mean to begrudge one of the awesome games in the series, but yeah, I'm just not too familiar with it. There was a time when I tried to log in and all, but then I was just like, I don't know. I didn't have my own. No, I had my own uh, card. I just wasn't into anything internet. Uh, I just felt like it's like a slippery thrust slope, and I don't think I had the money to pay for it. Now I have money to pay for it. Obviously, I wouldn't be playing these games, but I didn't have the money to pay for it. But I have some income stream. This is just a Patreon. It's just something that's gonna hopefully boost that. If just to some minute extent. Um, so Final Fantasy 12, I got some general idea of some of the super bosses in the game, and then also about a bit of the story, but not enough to ruin it for me. So it's actually one of the ones that I'm actually more excited to get into. Kind of like 5, it's like the class building and job building. It sounds kind of good, and also just the storyline and plot line in it overall was apparently pretty strong. It's one of those things where people were afraid it was going to be kind of like floppy or kind of a mess or whatever after it had been years of since single like a mainline Final Fantasy versus the MMO that was Final Fantasy 11. They were building out Final Fantasy 11 for some years there, from the time of like Final Fantasy 8 forward. If I have my information right, I believe so. Like building out the original versions of the game, and it went decently for 11. Obviously, we know with Final Fantasy 14 mostly flopped. I mean, if you go into the credit roll of A Realm Reborn, it shows all the people who were legacy players from the original version of Final Fantasy 14. And it's a decent amount of people there. It's like so many hundreds or I think thousands or something like that. But it's still kind of a low thousands, so it's not like it was like a lot of people. Like most people didn't get into the original version of 14 because they were like, oh, it's just too sketch for them. And I don't think it was necessarily requirements of mine. Maybe that was it. Was part of it was also, and by the time that they got done with Realm Reborn, it's kind of like probably computers or gaming computers got to another point where it was a little bit more accessible in the first place for Realm Reborn. And maybe the graphics requirements got more accessible. If not then by the time of Heaven's Sword, or I know that definitely. What is the one that comes after Heaven's Sword? I mean, why can't I think of that? Um, Stormblood. There we go. By the time that Stormblood came out, I know that by then, like the graphic stuff was more accessible in gaming, computing in general. has become like this thing I've got here. It's like a Ryzen 3 with some kind of Radeon Vega, just Vega graphics. I know Vega is actually a piece of crap for gaming graphics in all reality. So I probably wouldn't want to do gaming on this. But and if I'm right, the graphics run kind of hot, even though I think it's just integrated Vega graphics. So yeah, this probably wouldn't be so hot as a gaming PC. So Final Fantasy 12, pretty cool. And there's Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13 is another one that's like I know generally, and one of the things is generally people know the plot of this game, and it comes down to like some. I think part of it is the difficulty curve on it is kind of harsh, and then another thing is it's not. It's another kind of switch up. Like they just kept on switching it up after 9. They had one different system. 10 wasn't like the typical ATV system. It was its own kind of thing, like its sphere system or whatever. And 10.2 had its class system. 11 was the MMO, the old school, like they call Final Fantasy 14 a latecomer to the 2.0 or second generation, second or third, more like second generation massive multiplayer. Now we're into like third generation with these more you see more MOBAs, the battle arena ones, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, just classic. 14 is kind of a gargantuan thing and massively multiplayer. WoW, World of Warcraft is pretty nice too, I know. But yeah, people then check out Final Fantasy 14 if they haven't already. I think they're generally more impressed with it, even though it can be tricky at times. I've had a few battles. I've had just like mainline quest things against like a single monster or something like that, and I have to call in another buddy or something like that. And if you know how to use the party system, and it's not that complicated. It's pretty easy. If I can figure it out, then other people can definitely figure it out. Because I'm kind of a semi-rudimentary person. I'm the one complaining about some dungeon in Final Fantasy IV where it doesn't let you use most of the items, and it's like there are other people who've gone more dauntlessly into worse challenges. But I'm like the kind of person where I like to be over leveled, and at least the enemies outside this dungeon in Final Fantasy IV were still kind of challenging to me with the three character system that it allows you at that point in the game. So I guess that's kind of like the thing is, would there be some version of modding Final Fantasy IV where it lets you have a version of Palom or yeah, Palom anyway? Just because you just gotta have a white mage, right? Because yeah, that really stings. That's actually a better story point is when you lose the mages in Final Fantasy IV. Sorry, I know spoilers, but yeah, that part really sucks, and it really hits you hard because you're like, oh my gosh, because how they die just seems so. It's very kind of like oh, what am I trying to say? The uh, uh, anyway, they get squished between pillars. Like squeezing pillars or something like that. So some kind of thing like that. Like, I might as well have just let a big boulder crush them over instead. Indiana Jones is what I was thinking. Indiana Jones movies. Um, so anyway, going back to Final Fantasy 13. So there was 10, and there was 11, and there was 12, and there was 13, and they all had these different kind of battle systems, or character development and battle systems. And then 13 went like its own, like pretty far out of its own way, and then it did its own trilogy. Yeah, so you had 3 games you had to follow through the story of particularly Lightning, but Lightning and her family because she has her sister too. what's her sister's name? So there was Noelle, and then there was, I don't remember. Just remember that Noelle was one of the two characters from 13-2, and I thought that was kind of a nice name. And there was 14, and we can go on and on about 14 and its expansions, uh, its history and stuff like that. But I've already said like a lot about that anyway, so definitely pick up a copy of the full version of 14 if you're into it. I mean, I guess you can try the free trial if you want to, but I'd say just get like the whole thing because that way you get all the preview movies that you want to watch, the intro things, and then they have separate intros. Like every time there was slightly different versions of the intro music, so it's kind of nice, kind of a schmancy thing there. I wish that there were more movies that got saved into your thing, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where it's like a whole movie of a game in itself. I know it's kind of, but I'd almost like that, more with something teen rated than something like Kingdom Hearts, which is obviously like E10 plus. I'm almost kind of feeling like I'm getting too old for Kingdom Hearts. Like somehow 30 something is like that, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know. 4 looks to be kind of enticing. Kingdom Hearts 4 looks enticing, but yeah, it's like there's probably never going to be a mature rated Kingdom Hearts. There are a few things in Disney's repertoire that are mature, that are actually mature movies. I mean, there really are such things as mature Disney movies, but there are just few. There are like 2 or 3 of them. One of them is like, I don't know what it is, but they showed it on there years back, and I was like, or some channel, and it's like, wait, this is a Disney movie. I'm pretty sure though, and yeah, I think it had the Disney logo, and it's like, oh wow, this is actually a mature movie. And I'm like, oh huh. Something I saw recently a few weeks ago was Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and a big deal for me was that I actually went to a theater to watch it. I haven't been to a theater to watch a movie since I think it was like Spider-Man 2 with the Tobey Maguire ones versus Doc Ock. And I didn't really like the way that the tentacles, the way they're like boom, boom, boom. And I was in the theater because I felt that it's just kind of disrupted for the movie in some way. But I was still thankful that my mom took me to see it. It was kind of cool because I think she knew that I liked, I had a copy of the original, like a VHS of the original Spider-Man, and I liked it a lot. And so I was like, oh man, mom, can we maybe see this? It's like, yeah, I suppose. Let's go on ahead and check it out. And she's just mostly just outside smoking. Take the best care of her health. Yeah, I definitely support anybody who wants to quit smoking. Try however you can. They say don't do cold turkey. I've heard people where it's worked, and there are people that it hasn't. But smoking is just, it ruins your health. She smoked until the last, and it corrupted her health so much. My dad quit like a decade ago. He quit doing that, and he quit drinking even beer because he had other medications they had to start taking that don't mix properly with beer. So I'll have some bit of wine now with juice or something like that, with pomegranate juice. I actually tried it, and it just seems like a really sour combination. Me, wine is okay, but ever since I did First Communion, I kind of barfed up my wafer. And I took a sip of the wine. That literally happened. I wish I had that on video because it would have been so funny. And it's like, too sour. But no, wine's okay. I've had champagne though before. We had some champagne a couple years ago at my relative's house, and champagne is really good. I'm just saying, if you get a hold of a bottle, I know that stuff isn't cheap, and it was like a gift too. So, but we don't have any of it at our house. So about the Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 15. What can I say? The battle system in Final Fantasy 15 was not great. It just was not great. Like, it's a beautiful game. The whole thing is kind of rhetorical, or not rhetorical, but repetitive is the whole thing of getting in and out of your car to travel over places and not being able to go outside at night without the stupid iron giant appearing every freaking place that you go and tearing you to pieces is just kind of stupid. Like, if they didn't have the iron giant at night, it would actually be a beautiful game and it'd actually be more enjoyable. But the fact that you have to run from these powerful bombs and giant iron giants that you don't have any decent defenses against, I don't know how you're supposed to play through the game if you actually are expected to face bombs or any of those other elemental things later on in the game, because it doesn't seem like you have any decent defenses against them, and it just seems weird. Like, it wasn't really well built out. So I don't know how you're supposed to do that. So I bought the art book to the game from Dark Horse. I got a copy through local Things from Another World. We actually have one locally here. It's not just the warehouse. They actually have a store in my area right across from Dark Horse, which, of course, Dark Horse is a Milwaukee, Oregon store. In a Milwaukee, Oregon business. It's actually based in Milwaukee, not just Portland. And I'm really proud of that. There's a major comics publisher based in my area. I've only got like a few things from them at all, though. But like, there's something that's in Norse Gods by Neil Gaiman. And I got a few issues, and I need to probably pick those out and try reading them. But yeah, mostly me, it's like that. Yeah, Yoshitaka Amano visual biography, and then this Final Fantasy 15 art book are kind of things that I got through them, through Dark Horse, either from like the art books and stuff like that from Final Fantasy 14 that I've bought. I actually own a lot of those. Um, got through Barnes and Noble, and I like we have Barnes and Noble local too, and so if I order anything online, it usually delivers pretty quickly, even if it's from like Seattle or wherever it's from. It gets here pretty quickly, like within like a 2.5 weeks, probably less. In fact, I was kind of wondering when this Spirits of the Damon World, uh, the latest thing by Hiromu Arakawa, the creator of Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, he's got a new series out. It's called, I think it's Spirits of the Damon Realm. I got it like in my other room, so I can just bring it in here. But anyway, so yeah, Final Fantasy 15 was kind of more or less a flop to me. So I mean, it's a beautiful flop. It's actually a beautiful game in its way, and I think that the story was actually pretty decent too. But the battle system just wasn't for me. I did not enjoy it, and the story is a little bit chinky too. It's not so great. Me, I want to watch the movie Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy 15, the movie. I really want to see that. That would be cool. And that would be all three of the movies that I watched as a modern time as a child. I recently watched Spirits Within, just rented it over YouTube here on the same PC. Then, like I said, I ordered a copy of Advent Children that does not have any of the extras on it, but I watched the movie. And then Kingsglaive, I haven't seen Kingsglaive at all. I mean, I think I've watched preview stuff of it, so it looks pretty decent. But I know that generally these movies are only so much too. Oh, and of course the anime, the Final Fantasy 15 anime. Like, really, it was just like this whole multimedia thing of Final Fantasy 15 was kind of fun, but kind of overdone. And where with 16, it's more focused. I think is really where they want to go. Like, if they want to do some kind of big media thing, like, or fairly big media thing every 3 or 4 entries, and I think that's kind of a good way to go. So maybe the next, maybe with 17 or 18, maybe they want to go that way. Maybe even like 18, wait until 18, make it like Final Fantasy is all grown up. Like, it's already mature rated with 16, so okay. But yeah, But I'd like to see more of the classic kind of stuff like the Magitech and some of the other stuff back again with another, or whatever they want to call it, but maybe come up with some other kind of plot devices and call it something else. Because it's kind of like with the summons, they have like 8 or 9 different things to call them. Acon. Well, I don't remember what they call them in 4. Espers. In 8, it was GFs, which was for something. I don't remember though. Obviously, just summons. What were they called in 10? I don't remember, but I know that they call them something else in 10. And I think they're just summons in 12, aren't they? Or are they something else if they're even very present in 12? Because I know 12 is actually one that's pretty successful without being too heavily, like if there is some kind of form of summoning. But I don't know if there is really, which is kind of a weird thing about 12. I mean, yeah, it's still like a good system. And then after 15, of course, it's 16. That's what we're looking forward to, and it won't really be proof possible until June 22nd or 24th, whenever most people get theirs delivered. My thing said within 2 days, so if it's June 22nd, then it's either going to deliver on June 19th or 20th and be at my house the 22nd, or it's going to be the 24th. Whatever. If it's like a couple of days, then that's not that big of a deal. But except for Miles Morales, and I have a copy of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut because I'm kind of curious about that game. It just sounded like a cool kind of like samurai ninja kind of. I don't know. I don't even know. Besides that, it's just a kind of kick butt kind of game. I should probably try playing it, see if I'm any good at it. I'm just questioning, but bringing in the battle director from Devil May Cry makes for a tasty soup for Final Fantasy 15, 16. That's another thing is Devil May Cry. I know that the most recent version of Collector's Edition only goes through, I believe, Devil May Cry 3. And it's like one of those things where that's a cool thing where you kind of wish that they do another one that has at least most of the games, if not all of them, 1 through 5. So it'd be cool if they could do another collector's edition that does that. Because the only really recent one, I think, is 5. 4 is fairly recent, but it's like 2000. It's like it was actually a PS3 one. That was the thing was with Final Fantasy, all we got was like 13, all we got. I mean, the 13 series was like, but let's just be honest, it clashes with a lot of people. And it was kind of fancy. Well, what it did with the ECA and of course they had like that French naming system for the characters' plot devices and whatever. Made it kind of complicated, like kind of cool, but also kind of like a little bit too multi. Like I think a lot of people are just kind of like, just give us kind of like an English translation of these things, right? So the keepers of the summon powers in Final Fantasy 13 is okay, but it's kind of weird, like the transformation stuff that they went through, the different power sets. It's kind of there's a learning curve. Boo-hoo. But no. Between that and the mostly moral linearness of Final Fantasy 13, people kind of question, oh, is this how things are going to go all the time? And thankfully, 16, I think, is going to be semi-similar in a way, but not at all, because obviously the battle isn't anything like what 13 was, but it still looks good. I think apparently they took a lot of their inspiration from the recent God of Wars. I don't know if that goes back to 3 but more, of course, the recent one or 2, the original God of War, and maybe some contact with the creators of Ragnarok. And So building out their world stage of Valisthea. So building out their world stage of Valisthea in Final Fantasy 16, it looks very enticing. I mean, I'm gonna feel for the people who have to, or for the teenagers who are gonna have to have somebody like. I mean, the thing is, if you're like up to around 15 or 16, you're kind of still getting gifts and stuff like that from your parents anyway. So it's one of those games where I'm kind of thinking that some people are kind of like, well, this is kind of Final Fantasy, and if they're familiar with gaming systems like that, it's probably just to be able to show stuff as it like is, not to be like so entirely mired in it that it's like ridiculous, but enough so to show the stuff anyway, because they just wanted to show a complete set of, yeah, it's like if you watch some of the movies and some of the stuff Final Fantasy 14, there's like dun, 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 and if somebody gets slashed down, it's just kind of like it's like and it's kind of tacky and whatever. And that's like a teen-rated MMO. So I think they used to be able to stretch it a bit more back in the early 2000s, or some darker themed stuff if something was a teen-rated game. But of course, the graphical stuff, it's like the blood in Final Fantasy VII. So that's why if they were going to release the original version, I mean, if they were going to re-release Final Fantasy VII, definitely, obviously, you would hope that it wouldn't look like materia blood or whatever leaking from Genova in the and of course the remake. It's kind of like a different story too. Like they're making plot changes and stuff as well. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII was a pretty dark game, while also at certain junctures, also being a kind of ridiculous game at other junctures. Like I was saying, a really irritating game at a certain point where you have to walk past the guard or run past the guards, and if you don't, then you get into battle hell over and over again, which is again something I'd like to just be able to skip over. That's what they just got to do, is kind of make like a version where you can just skip over reasonable little small chunks of the game at certain points. I think if you just kind of want to. I don't think it would be like the worst thing. Even boss battles, like give them the experience and the acquiesce of a boss battle if they just kind of don't want to fight it. I know that sounds terrible. Maybe not. Maybe not boss battles. Maybe just make boss battles one of those things that's like required and you can't skip over. But if you want to go from like point A to point B, and you don't want to get caught by some stupid, I don't know, it just bothers me so much because I can't believe that I can't get past that. It makes me want to play the remake, kind of. But at the same time, no, I want to play the original. I want to play the OG Final Fantasy VII, and I want to get through the game. I really do. And 9, it just seems like it's been more accessible. So that's me. I don't know what's Final Fantasy 17 going to be, because that's like the new hot button ticket. No, I mean, I guess there's some reasonable reason to speculate now, but it's not going to be a thing for probably like 3 years. I guess that's the thing, is will they have at least 2 mainline ones on PS5? I'm praying that they will, because to me that's been one of those things that people kind of wondered about, because they had 3 for the PS3, but all within the same. They didn't really have 3. They just had the 13 series, and so when PS4 only had Final Fantasy 15 after it was in development hell, and all the stuff with using Luminous Engine and whatever, and of course Forspoken's come out recently, and that game's been judged kind of harshly. I know that another creator, Homeless Potato, he said, well, the game is kind of one of those things, like it's kind of like an acquired taste or something like that, and yeah, I'm all for a good Final Fantasy, and 16 looks to really be lifting the series back up after the troubles that it's had between 11 was kind of like MMO that you had to be into. 12, I remember it actually had kind of a slow, well, maybe it actually had a pretty quick, it was picked up pretty quickly. But with a lot of people, I think it was one of those things where they had kind of a challenge with it. It was pretty challenging. So that's one of the things that it's partly learning curve and it's partly being able to, drill enough to get yourself over leveled if that's how you like to play the game. And I think you can get over leveled in 12. That's one of the things is like a lot of people, I think Final Fantasy players or RPG and JRPG players, some of them are people, they just drill until they get over like a certain level and they take on those quests and stuff like that. And then that way they don't have to worry so much about getting their butt wiped. Excuse me. Maybe that was just but yeah, to get their hiney kissed. Uh, uh, on to get early to get taken out, to get KO'd in side quests or main quests, and some of the harder like special extra bosses and stuff like that, and side quest content. And of course, some of them have more of that content than others. I don't know, at 10, I know there was a fair amount, maybe not that much. So that was another thing that people I think complained about 10. That the ones that there were, the things that there were like less attained, like the way that you attained them. Like there's just some mini games are just really like, so it's like one of the things where I kind of want original stuff, but at the same time, I kind of want it where if you kind of want to get just some of that, maybe that's the thing is just make more of the specialized stuff like Ultima Weapon, some of those things that you had to do like these grueling side quests, just make it where you can just kind of flip it on if you agree to like a thing, because it's some of those things where if you kind of do that, it's kind of like in the Zelda games and the Game Boy ones like that. If you steal an item from a certain character, it switches your file name to thief, because you can actually, but it actually, I think it actually makes you do that as part of a side quest is one of the things or something like that. For some reason, you're supposed to. I think it has you steal something. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just actually a thief. No, I'm not. I'm not really. I pay for my stuff, and I know I do because I've seen the statement on my credit union statement, and it's like, yeah, I definitely pay for stuff. That's one of those things is I gotta probably learn to cut off some of my things. Oh yeah, I signed up for eHarmony, and then now it's still taking out money, and I gotta shut that down one way or another. Maybe go to Rocket Money or some kind of some one of these subscription handling sites and shut it down because yeah, it's like eHarmony I'm not using. I tried talking to some girl, some lady, not some girl like underage, but we're like talking like in her 20 something, more like 30s, like my age. And yeah, it just didn't go anywhere. It was actually really weird. She started talking about like a parrot and the death of her mom, and it was really weird sounding. It's really strange sounding. I won't go into it just because it was just too rando. But yeah, I don't know. eHarmony did not work out for me. And I'm just kind of incredulous of e-dating sites anyway, because it's like you kind of want to get to actually know people. And I mean, video dating is kind of okay, but still not the same thing. It's just taking someone to freak out and saying, "Hey, you want to go check out a nice place and like eat a nice dinner with me, and we'll just chat about our interests, our passions, our life, and figure out if we're into seeing these people again, if we just want to stay friends or whatever." Because that's just the thing is people are usually friends before they dive right in. Like if they really, really, really love each other and stuff like that, they figure it out after a while. And that's the thing is that these people usually, when they divorce something like that and remarry, they've known some other person for like a while. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily cheating on these other people, but they just kind of figure out that they're more into some other set of people than the person than they were originally married with. And that's happened a few times in my family and is happening again as I speak, actually. I've got an aunt. Well, none of your people's business. So, yeah. Oh, so Kingdom Hearts. So, Kingdom Hearts series. So, I got both of the DS games, which I'm kind of proud of anyway, and I played through and beaten both of them. So, that's 358 Days and Coded. The original, I've been replaying recently on the remix for PS4, and it just bugs me because I've gotten to the point where you have the Hercules Cup in the Coliseum, and it's just Cloud mostly. It's not even Hercules. Like I got as far as Hercules and I got beaten by him, but it was Cloud, and then recovering from Cloud, and then I don't know, want a video guide from somebody about that. Somebody can maybe point me to one. If anybody ever sees this stream, which are probably not, because from what I know, the original stream I did didn't get shown by anybody, didn't get seen by anybody. I don't know. I got at least a couple of different playlists right now that this is being set to, so maybe somebody will catch it. So Kingdom Hearts, the original Kingdom Hearts, I played through all the way in the past, and I unlocked pretty much frigging everything. I even the 3D battle with the Spirit of Death or whatever it is that you go up against above Big Ben, and it's like a 3D battle, and it's actually really hard. I did that one. The one against whatever his name is, the special boss uh, in Arabia, where he's got the giant scimitars and spins around and crap like that. That was actually a really hard one for me too. I almost didn't beat it. Then I was able to take him down in the end without retrying over and over again. I don't know. Maybe it took me a second try. It took me one or two tries. The all the content except for everything but Sephiroth. I wasn't able to beat Sephiroth. That was the only thing. I wasn't able to beat Sephiroth and get the One Wing Angel, the katana. I wasn't able to get that one. That was the only thing, and that was the only content in the game. I got the Ultima weapon. I got everything else. I did all the synthesizings and all that stuff. And now I'm playing through again, and it's pretty. It's a little bit more daunting. It's like something like, oh, I'll just breeze through this game, right? It's like, no, it's got some challenge to it. And Cloud is one of those things where he's a real pain in the ass. Just burst again, burst again, burst again. And it's like, be alone. Why do you want to shove your sword to my hind end so badly? But yeah, so that Kingdom Hearts 2, I have not played through Kingdom Hearts 2. I only got as far as I think just when you're ready to unlock the Wisdom form, but I didn't go that far. That was in a PS2 copy. I had a lot of DVDs and CDs and PS2 games that got thrown out, I believe, by my mom. Unfortunately, they just gone to the wind. They probably got some garbage center or something like that. But my mom just threw away the whole packet of stuff like that and dumped other stuff on top of it. I don't know. My mom, she always had some problems, but she started going off the deep end. Probably something like 5 or 6 years ago. And then she just kept on trying to dump my dad's CDs and stuff like that. So I had to keep on taking them back out of the garbage. So I saved my dad's stuff because I wasn't able to save my own. I don't know why she went for my stuff first. She just thought that she was protecting me from technology and media. She started to just, like most people who's losing it and thinks that everybody's being spied on and that they're living in some kind of clone world or bizarro world where technology has taken over everything. And it's like, you're kind of right, Mom, but big deal. It's not that bad of a world all the time, although it certainly looks that way from the news center. You look at all these freaking mass shootings anymore, and it just grosses me out. Just an opinion here, but I think that we had that ban on the purchase of ARs and MKs, or if there even were MKs anyway, back in the day during the 90s, early 2000s, and it went off. And then so many years later, we started having these problems again after what, the Kip Kinkle shooting. And that was like about the only one. And now we have all these other people, and it's like they all think that they're gonna be notorious or some shit. And it's just so tedious anymore that it's like they're out doing it out of desperation, not out of notoriety, not out of being notorious, but just because they're just desperate. They just want like a tiny bit of like notoriety or something like that, or they think that they're gonna go to Valhalla or some wacko fuck if I know shit. Pardon my French. So I guess that's the stream for today. It's going on 2 hours now, so it's been a pretty long time. It's about time for dinner for me. It's about 6 o'clock here. So yeah, I just hope you guys enjoy my stream, and I gotta put this on my Patreon, and love you all. Peace out. I'm pretty bored, honestly, and nobody's coming to chat or anything. Boy. Okay, yeah, okay. Peace out. I'm going.